welcome to the Cinema ATL Podcast. The Cinema ATL Podcast is a weekly podcast that examines the world of entertainment through the lens of local Atlanta filmmakers. That would be us, your hosts. I'm Michael D. Friedman, and that is...
Martin Kelly.
And this week, it's time for our June Industry News Edition, where we'll be discussing what's shooting in Georgia and more. But first, Martin, why don't you tell our listeners how they can help the podcast out?
Well, they can help the podcast by doing what they're doing right now, which is listening, but also comment, rate, subscribe, and generally share it from whatever podcast format you are listening to it on right now. So that could be Apple Podcast or Spotify. It could be SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or even on YouTube. But any comments and ratings and everything else like that would be very helpful to us. So we appreciate it if you do that.
Right. And we also want to hear from you. You can always tweet us at CinemaATL, or you can hit us up on our personal Twitter accounts. Mine is at CleverTransient.
I'm still getting used to that, but mine is at Marte_Real1.
And don't forget Instagram, which is at CinemaATL Podcast, all one word. And you can check out all the cool stuff we're doing there.
Definitely. Or if you are still old school online, on laptops and whatnot, you can go to cinemaatl.com.
I'm old school because I'm recording this on a laptop, I guess. Anyway, you came here for some industry news, so let's just get on into it.
Yeah, so welcome to another edition of Cinema ATL Industry News, and for those who don't know, because this is back to normal for people who caught us during the long pandemic shutdown. We didn't have much of this going on. So to recap, what we'll do is we'll talk about some upcoming releases that were filmed in Georgia, and then we'll go on to discuss what's shooting now. And if we have some other news, we'll go into that too. But I guess just let's get started with it.
And if you're interested in any of the things that are shooting right now, just a reminder, you can always check the Georgia Help. I always screw this one up. You can always check. Mike, learn how to speak. You can always check the Georgia Film Help Wanted hotline at georgia.org for more information. So let's talk about what's out right now, what was recently released. And actually, right before this podcast, I watched the first episode of Loki, which is out on Disney Plus, filmed in Atlanta, premiered on Wednesday. So check that out. A lot of cool stuff. You might recognize some of the locations as Atlanta locations, but they do a good job with all the special effects and things that they add into the.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I haven't caught it yet, but I'm definitely going to be following that with a lot of interest for sure.
The first episode's a very interesting setup. It's very interesting. I don't know where they're going with it, but it's kind of a cool world they built.
Cool. I can't wait to see it. So so far all the Marvel Disney Plus series have been really good. So can't wait to see this one too. So next, also recently released last week, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is part of the Conjuring series. It was released last Friday, and it was filmed locally, and it has a lot of local acting talent in the cast, including Vince Pizzani and Steve Coulter in some recognizable roles. So that's awesome when we get to see some of our buddies on the screen. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then I also want to mention a film that had its premiere at the Reedy Reels Film Festival in Greenville, South Carolina this past weekend. We've talked about this before on our Indie Spotlight, and we've mentioned it in some of the new stuff, but Bryn Gets a Life actually won the Best Feature Award at that film festival. So I want to say congrats to Cam Logan and company who produced the film, and I've heard really good things about it. I can't wait to see it. So hopefully we'll have some news on when that's going to premiere. So
fantastic. And it's so cool that, we talked about that on one of our local spotlights, and see that movie getting some recognition outside of us is fantastic. So congratulations, everybody. So next, I guess we will talk about what is coming soon, films that were shot in Georgia and are coming soon to a theater near you. In fact, the soonest is called The House Next Door: Meet the Blacks Part 2, which will be in release June 11th. And that stars Cat Williams, Mike Epps, and Zule Hinawa. And this is, of course, a sequel to Meet the Blacks, which was a horror film spoof. A lot, kind of in the same vein as Scary Movie. And this was filmed in Atlanta, and several people I know actually worked on it. So shout out to all of
Nice.
them, especially Alvin in the art department. But this should be, this should tickle your fancy if you're into horror spoofs.
I never saw the first one, but I heard it was pretty funny. But I never saw it.
Well, I tell you, like Cat Williams and Mike Epps are really funny, and so sometimes
Mhm.
in the movies they're a little hit and miss depending on what the role is, but they can certainly be really funny. Both of those guys are very talented.
And then also coming into theaters are two Disney movies that have been delayed for seemingly ever. We have Black Widow, the Marvel film, coming on July 9th. This was filmed partially in Macon, but also all around the world as well. And then Jungle Cruise was another film that Disney did here in Atlanta for at least, I think, half the shoot. They did the rest of it, like the actual jungle scenes and stuff like that, in Hawaii, I believe. But so it's good to see these big blockbuster movies coming back to theaters. So it'll be fun. I want to check those out.
Definitely, definitely.
So let's move on to what's shooting now. So,
Sure. And now shooting, there's a film called Supercell, which is an indie disaster drama. Now that's going to be interesting how an indie can handle a disaster movie drama. So this stars Anne Hesh, Skeet Ulrich, and Oscar nominee Alec Baldwin in the natural disaster adventure film. It's been in production in Georgia, also in Montana, but at the same time, like I said, we highlight films that are shot here, even if only partially shot here.
so Supercell, I'm assuming it's a tornado movie, some sort of tornado movie. Maybe it's another Twister type adventure. I don't
That's
know.
my guess. That's definitely my guess for sure.
Speaking of older films, there's a reboot coming of Father of the Bride, which this one is going to take a Hispanic take on the classic film with Andy Garcia and Gloria Estefan uh, starring in the roles. This was, of course, a remake of the 1991 film starring Steve Martin, which in itself was a remake of the 1950 film starring Spencer Tracy. So, third time is a charm, maybe? We'll see.
Well, with that cast, I think it will be. Andy Garcia is underrated for how good he is, and Gloria Estefan, big fan of her music. I haven't seen her acting in quite a while, so we'll see how it goes. But it sounds like a winner actually. Fun family film, hopefully.
Yeah, I've never seen the Steve Martin version or the Spencer Tracy version, but I know we have next week. We have our Father's Day top three coming, and this might be on some people's list for movies featuring dads. But yeah, I haven't personally seen it myself. But I like Steve Martin, so I don't know. Maybe I should
You
watch it.
definitely ought to. I mean, it's certainly. I mean, it's not like I don't know if it ever make one of my best of films, but it's actually certainly a entertaining film and heartwarming and family friendly for sure. So I mean, that's just a soft recommend, especially if you
Okay.
like Steve Martin.
So speaking of family friendly stuff, you got the next one, Martin.
Yeah. Well, okay. The next is a limited series from HBO Max called The Staircase, and talk about family friendly. This is about an American novelist, Michael Peterson, who was convicted of murdering his wife, Kathleen Peterson, in 2003. So it's adapted from one of the true crime documentary series, and it stars this is what's really attractive about it to me is a great cast: Colin Firth, Juliette Binoche, Tony Collette, Sophie Turner, and Parker Posey. So this is a heavyweight cast for sure. So this is one I'm
Yeah,
definitely looking
definitely,
forward to.
definitely. Yeah, but not so family friendly.
No, definitely not.
I was making a joke about that, so don't at me, people. Actually, do at me. Go ahead.
Go at us, at us.
Next up is another film, and speaking of Loki, Owen Wilson is in the Loki series on Disney Plus, but he must be sticking around because he's going to be shooting a feature film called Secret Headquarters from Paramount. And this is a superhero film, so he must have liked his experience on Loki. Maybe like liked Atlanta, liked superheroes, so he stuck around and does some more. I guess I don't know, but this one follows a young Charlie Kincaid who discovers a secret headquarters under his home that seems to belong to a superhero. He shares it with his friends, and they start to believe that his estranged father might have a secret double life. So I'm assuming Owen Wilson is the estranged father, but I don't think he's the young Charlie Kincaid.
No, probably not. But but it does sound fun. It certainly sounds very promising with Owen Wilson in it, and it sounds weird enough. And if Owen Wilson does become a fixture, we really need to try and get him on the show, because he's certainly a favorite of mine in
Oh
terms of
yeah,
not only acting but Bottle Rocket, which he co-wrote, and his collaborations with Wes Anderson. I'd love to talk to him about it a little bit. So.
yeah. Maybe
Uh,
he could come on our podcast and be like, "Oh wow, it's a Cinema ATL podcast." Yeah,
Did you see? Speaking of Owen Wilson and impressions, did you see the Indie Spirit Awards?
I did not know.
Oh, the young lady who hosted, and I'm gonna butcher her name, so I'm not even gonna say it. But from Saturday Night Live, who does a lot of impressions, she did a fantastic Owen Wilson impression.
Oh
And
yes, I've seen her impression. Melissa Villasenor, right? Yeah,
Villasenor,
that's her name.
there you go. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, Melissa. I forgot. I didn't want to butcher your last name. So, but yes, she did a fantastic impression
yeah.
of Owen Wilson, as if he was also starring in Nomadland. So they intercut her as Owen Wilson and and the star of Nomadland, and so it was really funny. But anyway,
That's
we're
good.
getting
Let's
sidetracked.
check it out.
Owen, if you're listening, welcome. You're welcome to come on. But next, let's talk about Long Slow Exhale, which is a drama series that's going to be on BET, and it follows JC Abernathy, a successful head coach of a competitive women's college basketball team who finds herself in the middle of a potentially career-shattering sexual abuse scandal. It stars Rose Collins as the coach, but it also stars Josh Lucas, Tony Gonzalez, and I am assuming this is our Tony Gonzalez of Falcons fame, and also Lyric Bent. So, looking forward to this. I like sports dramas when they're done well. So I've got high hopes that a sports drama will be done well. We did our top 100 sports movies recently, the tournament, and so it's got me thinking about how much I do enjoy sports movies, and so hopefully this will be a good series.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's Tony Gonzalez from the former Falcon NFL Hall of Famer. He's been branching into trying to act, so we'll see how he does. Hopefully, he does a good job with it. He was all right, and I can't remember what movie he was, but
Yeah.
he was like a bad guy,
Yeah.
part of a bad guy crew. I don't remember what movie that was. Was
No,
it
totally. I don't
was it
remember it either.
Fast?
I do
Was
remember
it
him. It
Fast
was
and the
one of
Furious? Was he
it could have been
like
one of
one
the
of?
fast it could have been one of the fast movies, or maybe
I
it
don't
was
remember.
the resurrection of Triple X, and he
Oh,
may
the
have been
Triple
the only
X.
good
Yeah,
he
I
may
think
have been
that's what it was.
I think it was that, but he was like the only good thing because everything else about that movie was horrible.
Oh yeah, that was not a good movie. Not a good movie at all. Um, and then the next thing we have up is Sweet Magnolia season 2 is now filming. This is the Netflix drama slash comedy. I think it is dramedy maybe. I don't know much about Sweet Magnolias, but it was popular when the first season was out. So I know my wife watched it, so I bet she'll be happy. There's a season 2 coming. So we'll see what has in store for us. And then Martin, you had a late edition that you were gonna talk about a film that we or a series that we had talked about earlier. It shot its pilot, right? And then
Yes, yes, and now it seems to have graduated to series status. So we talked quite a ways back about DMZ, which was shooting its pilot at the time. And now it seems to have been ordered for series, and it stars Benjamin Bratt and Rosario Dawson. Benjamin Bratt and Rosario Dawson about, again, it's a film about the war, a civil war taking place in America, and New York City has become a demilitarized zone. So, set in the future, obviously, maybe the near future seems like, but again, seems like a pretty interesting interesting series. Ava DuVernay is one of the producers of the
Right.
series, so should be pretty interesting. And it was good to see that it actually looks like it graduated to series status. So they seem to be filming that right now. So looking forward to seeing what develops out of that.
I believe that's for HBO, right?
It is, yes. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot to mention that HBO.
Yeah, there was a couple pilots that were shot here that we talked about last time. It'd be interesting to see if those get picked up, like the Wonder Years reboot and the Powerpuff Girls live action series. It'd be interesting to see if those get picked up for full series too. So we'll see. So yeah, so that pretty much wraps up all the news that we have for June.
I got one thing I want to add.
Late breaking news.
I got one more thing I want to add, actually. So I forgot to even mention it right before we went on live. This is an event that's happening, kind of local film event happening called the Elliott Street Film Showcase. And so this is happening on Saturday, June 26th at the Elliott Street Pub. So so if you are interested in seeing some local short films by Atlanta directors, I would direct you to elliottstreetpub@gmail.com for more information. Again, it's going to be at the Elliott Street Pub, which is on 51 Elliott Street, on June 26th at 8 p.m. So please be sure to get out there if you're interested in supporting local short films.
Definitely, man. Yeah, it's good to have local film screenings back. So go out, support indie filmmakers, and check that one out. And hopefully, we'll be having more of those in the future. And if you are doing screenings, please let us know. We'd like to bring them up on the podcast so other people can find out about them.
Definitely. And thanks, Stephen Wood, for letting us know about that one.
Cool. All right. Well, now that wraps up June's industry news. So we're a little bit shorter episode this week, but short and sweet, right? We like to keep them short and sweet. So let us know if you have any news, if you got anything you're working on independently. Please let us know about it, because we love to talk about indie films, and you can take a hint from Bryn Gets a Life and how much we've talked about that, and it won an award. So if you tell us, you'll win an award automatically.
We're that influential. We are that influential.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to take all the credit for it. No, we're not taking any credit for it. But good job, Cam, on that. That's really cool. And so we'll just wrap things up. And once again, we want to thank Eureka Failure for providing the music, as they do on each and every podcast that we do. Check them out at eurekafailure.bandcamp.com. Please share this podcast with your friends and neighbors, and let the world know about it. We appreciate all the help we can get, so we can keep doing these. And then finally, before we wrap up, Martin, what are your final words of wisdom?
My final word of wisdom is keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah, I'll do that. Can I reach for like a satellite?
You reach for the stars, I'll show you a planet.
Oh, okay. There you go. A planet? Okay. I'm gonna reach for the asteroid belt. Okay. I don't have big enough ambitions to reach for the stars, but I'll reach
okay.
For the
well,
yeah,
reach for a satellite. That'll be the first step, and then you can go from there.
All right, everybody. Once again, we'll see you next week. Come back. We're going to talk about top 3 dad movies for Father's Day. So see you then. Bye.